I think you mentioned that wellness has the potential to be the opposite of burnout.
Yeah, and it's just like the nuanced difference between burnout, more injury, physician distress, or just the lack of attention to wellness. If you really look at it side by side, wellness is not a complete opposite of burnout, just not by definition. But I do think that wellness can be kind of an antidote to burnout, that if we integrate wellness, it's certainly going to either mitigate burnout, it might prevent it for somebody that incorporates it very early, or if I'm in the midst of burnout, then wellness can bring me out of that.
You went through the definition of moral injury and how wellness could be applied there and help tackle that. But if we even go ahead and look at burnout, because I think the way that I describe the relationship between moral injury is that every day you experience some moral distress that leads to moral injury that eventually leads to burnout. And you mentioned earlier in terms of the definition of burnout, and this has to do with your occupation. That's how it's defined. So anybody who thinks it's the individual, it's not the individual. If you look up the definition of the word burnout, it is about your work environment. And there's three components. It's feelings of energy depletion and exhaustion. And I think wellness practices and programs can directly benefit that. When you look at these tools that focus on wellness, it's all about taking out time for yourself to re-energize yourself. So that will improve your energy and decrease your exhaustion. So that by itself, that's taken off of the list of things that contribute to burnout. Second one is increased mental distance from one's job or feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job. So with these wellness practices, we think about meditation, all those things where you're able to really connect with yourself and your minds and how you think, and you can really help affect the way that you approach things mentally. So wellness 100% can tackle burnout. I'm not going to say that it's going to completely eliminate it, but it can significantly reduce it. And if you incorporate a wellness practice early, like we mentioned earlier in our conversation, then that's going to have the most benefit in your life, especially if it can become like an ingrained part of your day-to-day.
Yes. And I really like the way you shared that. Being at a point where I'm now 20 plus years into my career, I care tremendously about people in training. I care tremendously about people early in practice and even mid-career. I obviously have a bit of a bias of not being written off. So I still try to talk to some of the mid and late career people of a message of it's never too late. Just because you didn't train that way, just because you didn't experience it that way, it's never too late.
Yes.
And so if you can implement these things at whatever point in time, and the best point is now, you have no control about that it would have been better preventative or would have been better early in your career.
That's true.
You do have control about whether you implement it now.
For us, by us, and just for us, this is hope for med.